So today we have two of the most awesome human beings I've met so far. Right, the Africa connection. I have Nduta on my right here and Jihad on my left. G, better known as G or Mama G sometimes. Okay, so you guys are the face of Play for Smiles, and I've been here in Nairobi, in Kenya, in Nairobi, in Nakuru, in Nyeri, in Gilgil, and apparently that's not even all of it yet. Tell us a bit more. How did you guys meet, first of all?
Every time that question comes, I look at her and I'm like, do you want to answer?
So basically, in 2015, I was part of a production program where we were filming all over the world, and it was basically covering 15 humanitarian crises or problems humanity faces today. And one of the episodes was about slums. And that's how I came to Kenya with the filming crew. And we actually filmed in 5 different slums. And then on our last visit, we visited a place that was called Mkuru Futunaya. Futunaya. So basically it was the space that had kids in it, and then it's sewage all around, and then you have to tiptoe on little stones for you to be able to reach there. And the kids were just giggling and they're like, Pole, this is Kenya. Pole Sana, this is Kenya. And when we went inside, I realized that the kids, they never seen someone in my skin color, and they came and they started scratching my hands and my face, and they're like, is there another color? And then the other bit that was very alarming for me is when I wanted to take pictures with them, the kids didn't really interact as much, and then a few minutes later I realized that it was the first time to see themselves on the screen of my camera. I was on the floor sobbing. And then I went back to Dubai, and then a few months later I contacted Randy, who was our fixer in the show. And I'm like, I want to do some work in Kenya. Can you please guide me and put me in touch with someone who's involved with orphans and so on? And he put me in touch with Dush, and that's where the journey started in 2016.
So Randy is the fixer-upper.
Yes. And he's never looked back ever since that day.
Yes.
So when Randy made the introduction, you had already been involved with working with kids and whatnot. Tell us a bit more. I've been hanging out with you for 6 days, and other than I love your personality, I have no clue who you are, so might as well.
Let's go. Okay.
Yeah.
For a while now, we used to do an initiative called 12 Days of Christmas. That's where it all basically started.
12 Days of
every
Christmas?
December, yes, we do Christmas parties for 12 orphanages in 12 days consecutively.
12 Christmas parties, 12 orphanages, 12 days. Nice.
Yes.
Okay.
So out of that, I used to get calls during the year, maybe March, May, and the orphanages say, oh, thank you so much for visiting in December, but we don't have food, we don't have a few things here and there. So from the visits in December, we established now relationships with some of the orphanages.
Okay.
And initially the visits basically were a campaign to tell people, yes, this is the home, these are the needs for the kids. You can come with us in December, but also when I'm not there, you can still come and connect with these kids. So it was basically an awareness, an entry point. And guys used to call and say, oh, hi, today I'm going to this home. What should I bring? So I can either make a quick call and find out, or have them just visit. So from that, the desire to actually keep doing it throughout the year. I was still in school by then.
Okay. School as in university?
Yes.
Okay.
So as soon as I was done with school, I confirmed or convinced myself, actually, I'm not sure I'm going to look for a job. If I have to look for a job, it has to be something that's in relation to exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah, and I remember that's when we met, and she's like, I want to go to the States. I'm like, no, you're not. You're staying here.
Yes. Like, I had so many things that before this interaction I wanted to do, but since this interaction happened, I was like, oh wow, I have to like literally change so much. Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, that's how it all started. Yeah. And the intention to go to school was to do more, like a master's in environmental awareness,
Okay.
more like research on how to raise money for the programs. It was like taking it to the next level.
Okay.
Yeah, which if I still get a chance, I will do it because it's really important for the work that we're doing.
All right. So it's been 4 years since?
End of 2015, early
Yes.
2016.
Yes.
So 16, 17, 18, 3 years now.
Yes, when we met and started working together.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I've noticed the chemistry between the two of you. Some of it is explainable. Obviously, you work together. You fly in and out around 3 times a year,
Yeah.
so you get to
Collide.
um,
Explode.
collaborate. Yes.
Yes.
So, what has been different with Play for Smiles than, for example, what you had been doing earlier, or is it just an extension as well, personally, for you?
For me, it's been like a confirmation. This is exactly what you need to do. Because sometimes when you're doing something alone, you don't have the energy or the courage or the strength to keep going on. But when you meet, like when I met this girl, I was like, oh my god, done, convinced. Because there's some things we don't even talk, but we're thinking alike. And that for me was the biggest yes or approval that this is the right path and this is the person that actually I want to take this journey with. Because some things I'm thinking about now, she's not about to read. And I'm like, okay, why are you in my mind? And such things. And structures for us has been like the biggest platform and challenge, because we basically rely on volunteers to support or help us with the admin work. So when you don't have consistent people, it becomes very hard to keep making steps ahead. Yeah. So when we're together, it's so much better because, again, I'm not alone.
Okay, fair enough. And it is a fair bit of admin work.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So give us a little bit of hot stories. What are your newest projects, or what are you focusing on currently? We've visited 3 orphanages so far. So Loving Hands in Gilgil, and Shadow Mountain in Babadogo, and
Good Samaritan.
the Good Samaritan
Madari.
with Mother Mercy. Yes. Okay. So I noticed that Mama Jane's place. Oh my God, I'm losing names. Sorry. One
Loving
more time.
Hands.
Loving Hands. It had 42 kids in it, give or take. Most were in school, and some had specific healthcare issues, HIV positive.
80% of them are HIV positive.
So 80% of them HIV positive. With regards to the HIV medication, I spoke to Mama Mercy about it, and Mama Mercy said she was getting it quite easily and for free. Is it the same idea for Loving Hands, because they're different cities?
It's the same. The only thing that changed recently is the regular blood tests. So
Okay.
every 3 months the kids they need to do a blood test. Before it was for free,
Okay.
but then this is off camera. Trump came and there was a 9 billion aid that was serving 10 million people in Africa in order to keep up with their healthcare and stuff. And Trump came and he dropped that number to 3 or something like that. So, and it was immediate. Like when it first came out, we thought it was a joke, and then Mama Jane a month later, she's like, "From now on, we need to pay for the blood tests."
So, all right. So the kids got trumped.
Yes, literally.
Oh well. All right, so following on, so the blood tests now are not for free anymore. They have to be paid for. There's 42 kids Mama Jane is taking care of, and then there was 23 that Mama Mercy was taking care of. What about in the Babadogo slum?
No, they don't have.
They don't
They're
have,
all negative.
Okay. All right. There's also the issue of schooling. So one thing that I found fascinating was the one where you had 400 kids and pretty much everyone is in school, and that's amazing. I mean, there's a previous interview we spoke about 100 kilos of food per day,
Good idea.
and challenges of the sort. Whereas the smaller place, the smaller orphanage, let's say, has, if I remember correctly, 5 kids currently not in a school.
In loving hands, yes.
In loving hands.
Or it's not. It's more like so. What we did is basically the kids in loving hands. They go to a public school, but
Okay.
we took them and we put them in a private school as a way of motivation.
Okay.
So the kids that are not going to school, they're not going to the private school.
They're in the public schools.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So they're all at public schools, but the plan is to move them to private schools, and Mama Jane had provided quite a bit of context as to the private schools are much better
Yes.
and safer.
Yes. And the education is better, of course.
Okay.
Because there are less kids and they
And
get special care.
and because of the kids who are HIV positive, they even get a special care in the
Yes.
school. They make sure they're fine. They give them food in the school. So it's more than one. It's not just about the education. It's the whole.
Even transportation,
Yeah.
they have a bus that takes them back, so it's safer, it's better.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And so far, you did manage to build a couple of playgrounds.
9 playgrounds.
9 playgrounds in total. Install a solar water heater. There are plans to take care of this wood stove cooking issue. There's always smoke around in very tight spaces. There's the idea of educating and feeding and transporting as well
Yes.
to and from school. And then we had one point I really liked that I noticed this was really highlighted in Loving Hands was the nutritious food element. So tell us more, like how did you guys come to this idea? The difference in qualities of food and all that.
Okay, for starters, the kitchens, most of the homes, the kitchens are really not in a good state. Either they use firewood, like they don't have up-to-date cooking stoves. So the idea was to improve that, get them energy savers, something that is more economical because fuel is expensive and they have to keep asking for money maybe to buy firewood or charcoal.
Okay.
So eventually the plan was to get energy saver stoves that can cook for many children all at once.
Okay.
We need to reduce the cost and everything else that surrounds it.
All right.
Yeah, but for your point, so basically with Loving Hands specifically, a year and a half ago, a nutritionist joined us on the trip,
Okay.
and when she was here, we did a blood test for all of the kids, and based on the blood test, she came with a nutrition program, which is basically it's been a year and a half now. The kids they have to eat at least 2 fruits a day. And they start their morning with a shake that has ginger, black cumin, olive oil, honey, and something else.
And a lot of water.
And a lot of water. And from the second week, the kids were taking, when they started this program, they stopped having any chest pains or coughing or any sorts of problems. And even with the education program, so in the beginning, a child or two would miss out on the final exams because of how frequent he or she gets sick.
Yeah.
But now, no, we barely okay, we had 2 this semester, but one because they required a heart operation, and the other one she's sick, and we're trying to figure out what's the problem. But other than that, the kids have been very healthy, very energetic, very
Lively and
yes,
happy.
yes,
Yeah. And small things like they used to go to the hospital a lot
yes.
because of coughs and small ailments. But nowadays it's gift,
even
totally.
so for Loving Hands, the rest of the 20% of the kids are actually either rescued from physical family abuse or sexual abuse. So we have a couple of girls who are teenagers and they suffer from STDs. One of them used to hardly walk. Yeah, she used to find walking very, very difficult. Now you look at her, she's just jumping all over the place.
And the fascinating thing is, despite all that we're going through, the performance in school
Yes,
was
very good.
splendid.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's all because of the food and the nutrition. Like, yeah, the girls especially, like they don't go out to the hospital as frequent as they used to before. Like, I remember in the beginning, every 2 months, one of them used to be hospitalized because of the infection and stuff.
Big change, drastic change.
So, one of the most important things you guys do is grabbing the people that you know with the skills that may be useful and working on that human interaction. How many trips has it been so far? So we had a nutritionist on one trip. You have
The
a
dentist,
dentist,
we had you this trip,
an insane man.
and we had a few
Susan,
people.
every
Susan,
trip has,
she was a holistic healer.
Yeah.
And then sometimes we had people from here, like
Yeah.
for Shadow Mountain, we got a nurse from here who checked on all of the kids.
Yeah.
So every trip based on different circumstances, people have been doing this. But yeah, almost every, like I haven't, since I started, I did not come on my own. Every time I bring someone with me.
And there's plenty of local partners as well. Alex I met yesterday.
Yes.
Apparently he's pretty much always there
Yes.
when he can be.
Yes. That especially because of the 12 days of Christmas, we already got so many people who really were looking forward to it.
Yeah. Randy is always there when he's available.
Exactly. So with all the programs, there has to be like people always want to find out what's happening. There's a lady called Pap. She moved to Mombasa.
Okay.
She was also very hands-on with any project with the ladies in Israel, with the kids, with the visits. There's a lady called what's her name? Sash. Remember Sash? Sash was also such a campaigner. There were so many people because every day for the 12 days we had someone who was in charge of each home to actually plan, facilitate, give us a budget. So we had different volunteers who December they just used to say, my December is tied to 12 days, I'm not doing anything.
Okay.
And
Yeah, some of them continue or whenever they're available, they're around.
so I think we just need to have pre-planned programs in future so that people can plug in during the year.
Okay.
And they book out and say, okay, March or April, this is what we're doing. I think that will give us more volunteers
Is
locally to plug in.
Is the 12 Days of Christmas project still running?
One of the intentions of the initiative was to have a relationship with the orphanages. And since we're doing that now, we have different programs that enable us to do that
So
throughout the
it's,
year.
it's 12 days, but like in a different. But like
Okay,
Christmas,
so yes.
Christmas is like we do have events on
Yes.
Christmas and we take the kids out and
Yes.
it's not as intense as it used to be
Yes.
before.
Because it was very involving and I kept thinking, okay, I need to change it to something that's more impactful and
More consistent and sustainable.
exactly. So it's transitioning into something different, but still getting more people involved.
And I noticed that this time, I believe some of the celebrations were honoring a donor's birthday, and Play for Smiles does this as one of the projects. I think that's really smart, so tell us more about that.
It's called Celebrate With Me or Share Your Birthday With Me. It depends.
Food is ready.
Okay, it's fine. Yeah,
Give us 5 minutes, we'll have set out on that table, please.
So basically, it started off like I started by myself like a few years before I started Play for Smiles. I decided that I don't want to celebrate my own birthday and I want to donate it instead.
Okay.
So the first time I donated my birthday to an organization called Pencils of Promise that builds schools in different countries and so on. And I managed to raise $3,500 throughout that concept. And then the next year was Play for a Smile was actually running, and I raised $20,000 in 3 weeks.
Yeah. And take note this time, there was no permission to actually raise funds there, so she was doing it through. Is it your friends? Like it was, you're not allowed to raise money.
No, but back then it was like that.
Oh,
that
that
was the
was
last.
allowed.
That was the
Okay.
last
Okay.
event I did before they changed the
They
laws.
changed, okay.
Yeah, so that was like the.
Oh, okay.
By then, so
The good old days.
and then people were inspired. So like after that, I had 5 of my friends who were like, okay, we want to donate our birthday, and they donated their birthdays too. So all of the playgrounds that were actually built were donated birthdays.
Okay.
And then
so that's 9 of them.
Yes. And then it got upgraded where actually here in Kenya, people actually contact her and they celebrate their birthdays with the kids. And a mini fundraising takes place. And the kids, like, so for example, her friend, Cherub, it was her son's birthdays. And she did them all in one day. And they invited 30 kids from the Goshen home.
Yes.
And they spent the whole day together. And there was a mini fundraiser that took place that day. We managed to raise $900, and that went automatically to Goshen Home's structure and building.
Okay.
And it's my favorite.
Me too.
Program. Yeah.
Because kids get to play at the end of the day.
No, and
have
it's
fun.
more than one like person at the same time. So for example, for the outing that we had 100+ kids. And then the girl who's celebrating her birthday, and us celebrating, and it's just
always
beautiful.
works
I always
out.
find it very beautiful.
Okay. Okay. I'm an opportunistic kind of person, so if you can mix up a whole bunch of good together, add a little bit of sprinkly dust on top, sure, why not? And of course, then there's a couple of other fascinating people I had met. Fran, for example, and Eagles Point.
Yeah.
Magnificent work in the kitchen for 130+ people.
It was a factory that day.
It was a factory, indeed. So, I guess because our food is ready and we're late for
Our
the
flight.
airport, I'm going to wrap up by saying, God bless you both.
Thank you.
And
It was amazing to have you with us this time.
Yes.
It was very different.
Yes.
Yeah, like, and seeing the kids and the interactions was very beautiful.
Nice.
Like I was inspired, and yeah, especially yesterday when you went and took the older ones and started teaching them your techniques and stuff. It was, I'm like, finally! It's been 3 years that I've been wanting someone to come and work on their psychological
That's true.
development and stuff. And she knows, like, every time I'm like, those kids don't need anything. They need just to...
Yeah. And especially someone they can open up to without being pushed.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, because usually it's like with the volunteers that come, there's some time before they are able to interact
It
and
takes a
stuff.
while.
So with you, it was very different, maybe because of the language, maybe because of your
Because
techniques.
it's
It's like,
playful also.
it's so many different things.
Yeah, it's
like it was very easy for you to like. Most of the time, she knows like people would be sitting there for like a few hours before they. But like whenever I asked you to jump in, you're like, okay,
awesome.
bring it on. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
it was an absolute pleasure. I was totally touched. I didn't know what to expect when I came, but all my expectations were broken, good ways and bad, but mostly good actually.
Okay.
I do want to say God bless you both. It's work that I would never imagine setting up on my own or with people. But I'm so happy to be part of the project, and I will be back now that I've got something in it. There was a lot of learning to dance with the kids. There was a lot of I'm not a touchy-feely person. There was a lot of hugs. A lot of people attached to me all the time. Charity, bless her, wouldn't leave my hand alone.
You
Mary.
know, I realized every time you hug these children, like you keep giving them something different.
Yes.
And a lot of good and positive energy. Even if you don't say anything, just hug them.
Yeah.
Just be there with them. It makes all the difference.
Yeah, the hugs was a very important element in our program.
Yes. And
day one.
initially, the boys, the older boys, the
Yeah.
teenagers used to feel shy because
Now they're standing in line.
Like, the honeys are back.
Yeah, now they're like, "Ooh, some sugar." So you laugh about it, but it's really nice.
That being said, God bless you, sugar mamas, and you know there's still a lot of work to be done. Some of it is just infrastructure, hot water, clean space, etc., etc. A lot of it is psychosocial development. There is trauma there, and these mamas are amazing counselors. Their energies, their
Fire.
their point of view, yes. Each stronger than the next and better in their own way, and the papas as well. You know, they require our appreciation. Yeah, let's get some food into us and
Yay.
Thank you.
big hugs. Yeah, Africa style.